all the sins that you can't confess. I'm just your ghost if we're not.
I don't think brittle works in this setup. That's the problem. And brittle is so bad because
got too wasted in the bathroom of your parents' house. Then you kissed me in the backseat of a taxi ride. And we said things that were cheesy, but we meant them. There were feelings, and now you deny it. You're in love with the idea of me, but you're not in my reality. Find it hard to even picture it.
Penance Brand is dog shit because of the way that the scaling works. I feel like the mapping is definitely towards the spark though. I think the big problem is I can't crit. It actually has 50 brittle though. How could it be so bad actually? I guess it's not even reaching. It needs more duration, I think.
I'm just your ghost if we're not undressed. Part of me wish that we never met.
I don't even know what type of update 3.18 is gonna be like. Love penis. Yeah, me too.
You kissed me in the backseat of a taxi ride.
But now it is dog shit. What is the minimum DPS to do wave 25 comfortably? Probably like 5 mil, 10 mil. Should be a long wave right here. Monster did it. I know it was good before it got fucking shafted by the divergent split plan change. I mean, I don't even think I'm that low on activation though. What's like 0.17? That's too bad. But I don't even think it's that far off after the mid range.
Perfect, but I know what my worth is, more than you're giving. What goes up, comes back down. What goes out, comes around. You're so dumb or reckless. You already reckless. What goes up, comes back down. And your day will come around. And I don't wanna fix this. You already wrecked this. Forgot.
Look at the chunks. He's dying, right? You see the noticeable chunks. Hey, what's up YouTube? Today's video I'm going to be going over Penance Brand. I know a lot of people have been asking about the skill. A lot of people might not even know what the skill is, but I'm going to go over why this skill is trash, why I put it in the dumpster and dumped it into the ocean with a bunch of other sewage. Because this skill really deserves to be nowhere in PoE. It's a completely bait skill. It is awful in every respect unless you play it with an aura bot maybe. And even then, it is still pales in comparison to other skills. It's kind of sad how such a great skill, such a long-standing, upstanding member of the community has been destroyed like this. But we're going to go over what exactly is Penance Brand, why it's so bad, and what my future plans are for Aura Stacker, because this kind of makes me scared to try other skills, right? But yeah. So why Penance Brand, you might be asking, and you can see down here, this is exactly why, right? Look at that, one tapped Maven, one tap, one explosion, one kill, right? So obviously, this skill used to be good. This skill was one of the best skills in the game. on Aura Stacker even, and it was a joy to play. It was really cool to see big chunks of damage like that. It's not something that you see every day, and it's not like, it's just really cool to see damage like that. But it was also really fun to scale because there's some like formula you had to figure out. You had to figure out what amount of cast speed you need and what amount of duration you needed. So overall, it was a fun mystery to solve. And once you solved the mystery, you got this endgame damage that was unparalleled and unmatched. It used to be a great deep delving skill. It used to be one of the best skills all around, right? So what exactly is Penance Brand? Well, Penance Brand is a skill that you buy an MTX for now, and it looks a lot better. And it's called Celestial Brand Effect. But in order to understand what Penance Brand does, we need to go to our favorite site, PoE Fandom. Oh wait, that's the wrong PoE site. So it is PoE Wiki, by the way. There's also something you can download that can make it default to PoE Wiki, but PoE DB works pretty well too. Or the site is just down again. So let's go to PoE Wiki, the real site, the real one. So Penance Brand works in an interesting way. Penance Brand, when you put it down, the brand starts getting stacks of energy, and it can go up to 20 energy stacks. And then once the brand either expires because of the duration of the brand, or the brand reattaches itself to a nearby enemy, then the energy will explode based on how many stacks it has. Now, if you read the skill, it says explosions deal 60% more damage with ailments per energy after the first. So the more energy stacks you have, the more, like, oh, you also see explosions deal 150% more damage with hits per energy after the first, right? So each amount of extra stack you have, the more and more damage you deal. So it's actually completely exponential. So the difference between like 10 energy stacks and 20 or 15 and 20 is a massive, massive amount, right? And Penance Brand also has a really good amount of built-in conversion. It converts 50% of Fizz converted to Lightning. Now this is huge for Aura Stacker because we want to be at the beginning of the conversion chain. We want to be going from physical is actually the best skill possible because you can go from physical to lightning and then lightning to cold. And what that means is you actually get to double dip on that sweet Wrath aura. So you can see here the lightning spell aura gives you more spell damage, more spell lightning damage, and flat lightning damage. And then it converts all of that lightning spell damage to cold damage, and then that further gets multiplied by hatred, which gives you more cold damage. So that's this exponential scaling effect that makes it so good for skills at the beginning of the conversion chain. And that's why when people ask me why don't I play like Winter Orb and other cold skills, the reason is that those skills are at the end of the conversion chain. So it's actually really, really bad. Now you might be wondering, why doesn't Penance Brand work? Just get to 20 stacks, right? Well, the answer is not so simple, right? So there is a calculator that everyone ends up using. And this calculator, you plug in some numbers and you find out your cast time and your hit rate. Obviously, this stuff is pretty inaccurate, I think. So I think this is more like my stats, so 11.53. So you can see here, based on what you put into here, you get numbers. I'm not even sure if this is with the new Divergent Swift brand. I'm assuming this is probably not with the new Divergent Swift brand, and this is all old data because you are unable to reach 20 stacks, right? So you can see here, this is the total number of stacks you end up reaching. So this is 18. So this is, and then if you have Divergent Swift brand, you're at 23. And if you have 23 stacks, that means you're over the stack amount. But I'm pretty sure these numbers are from before and not the new spreadsheet with the updated changes. And why does the updated changes matter? So there is this gem right here called Swift Brand Support. Swift Brand Support gives you more activation frequency, right? So the more activation frequency is pretty much cast speed. I forgot to mention that cast speed actually scales your activation frequency, right? So if you see here, increases and reductions to cast speed also apply to the skill's activation frequency. So Penance Brand gets scaled heavily by cast speed. So Swift Brand is kind of like a more cast speed multiplier if you think about it. So back in 3.15 in Expedition League, I don't know if you guys all remember, there was this great nerfing of every single support skill gem in the game. And they probably didn't really think much about it. They pretty much just went across the board and cut in half every support gem's ability by half, right? They pretty much went across the board and chopped it in half. So what happened here is that Swift Brand got changed so that supported skills now have 30 to 44% more activation frequency rather than 45 to 64%. And then supporter skills now have 65% less detached duration, previously 40%, right? So what this means is that they lowered the duration on Penance Brand while also lowering the frequency by roughly 30%, right? This is like a 1/3 nerf from the skill. What that means, you pretty much lose 30% of your cast speed in relation to Penance Brand, and that is just a number that is impossible to really make up. For anyone that's played a spellcaster, you know, even before this buff in the latest patch, it is very, very hard to get more cast speed. Getting more cast speed is a huge problem for this build. So this change to Swift Brand essentially killed off the skill. The brands last a shorter amount of time, and the brands also activate a shorter amount of time. So what this means is that when you use this calculator, and this is an old calculator, because this is what before the changes happened, right? So even with insane amounts of cast speed and hit rate, you will never reach 20 stacks. And without reaching 20 stacks, with how the skill is actually designed to do a lot more damage based on the previous stacks and how many stacks you have, that means you're doing probably like a quarter of your old damage. And that's just a shame, right? Because it is a horrible, horrible feeling to be playing a skill that just does no damage. So let's go put it in. So I'm going to showcase right here, right? So we put in Penance Brand. So I'm actually trying to build a Winter Orb character later on. So Penance Brand, if you see it. So let's see, it's 15 million, right? So if you scale this all the way up to like 20 stacks, it's already 30 million. So if you're not reaching the right amount of stacks, you're literally doing like a huge amount of damage less, right? This is like 25% less damage. The difference from like 15 to 20 is absolutely massive, and that's without more scaling effect. So now the only way you can actually play this skill is you have to be with a support bot to get your cast speed up, and that's just pretty much something that most people aren't going to be able to get to. And even with the new buffs to the skill tree and just caster weapons in general, because we use a nebula setup, we actually do not get enough cast speed anywhere to make up for this. And in fact, we might even get less cast speed because we don't run as much aura effectiveness, which means that our necromancer node over here, we don't get as much attack and cast speed from our auras. So overall, just completely screwed still, and buffs to spell casting or hand casting does not affect brands at all, really. So now let's see how was Penance Brand, right? So after trying out Penance Brand, skill was absolutely a disaster. The damage was pitiful. I mean, the damage was good enough to do maps. It was good enough to do T16 Guardians. It would probably even be enough to do like Feared and stuff like that. So even with the faster casting and cast speed essence mod, it was still not enough to reach 20 stacks, right? So the only way I could get close to reaching 20 stacks was I was using these gloves. And these gloves have level 25 faster casting. Socketed Gems has 16% more attack and cast speed, and it has Socketed Multi, and it has 14% cast speed on top, right? So it's just a bunch of cast speed I was using, and it's still not enough to reach 20 stacks. And however, it was still able to do Wave 30 Simulacrum, but that's more of a testament of how, like, you don't really need that much damage to do Simulacrum, right? Simulacrum is pretty much how tanky your character is, and if you can just keep dodging and evading Kostas' or Omniphobia's attacks, then you'll be perfectly fine. It'll take a lot longer, but the problem is that it won't be rewarding, as you'll be spending too long in Simulacrum to make any money off of it. And the skill does look very visually stunning with the new MTX. I was actually pleasantly surprised with how cool the new Celestial MTX looks. However, Penance Brand is a natural disaster waiting to happen. You can see here, Tsunami and Tornado are destroying Penance Brand because do not play the skill under any circumstances. So what's the conclusion, right? Aura Stacker archetype is really, really strong. You can pretty much use the Aura Stacker and play any spell skill in the game. I'm pretty sure of it because it's going to be one of the best ways of scaling the skill. But something to keep in mind is that you have to play a skill that's either a lightning skill, a cold skill, or a physical skill, because you have to play things at the beginning of the conversion chain, right? And overall, Penance Brand was fine for map clearing, and the single target leaves very much to be desired. In fact, it leaves everything to be desired because the single target does not exist. Now, there is a caveat here, and that's I didn't really give it a full attempt because I didn't use a helm and I still used the gloves. So technically, I could have used a helm like this. This is actually someone's Stormbrand helm. I think it's his boobs. And they actually did fix the bow, by the way. That was in my previous video about the crafting mistake. And they did it pretty fast in like 2 days, which is really astonishing. But Basically, you use this helm because you get level 20 conk effect. And Penance Brand with conk effect is actually a huge damage. And then you also get +2 AoE gems, which I actually didn't have. So you can probably get around double the damage I have in my clips, but I'm not really sure if that's enough to save the skill. And at the same time, while you might be getting more damage from here, you'll be getting a lot less cast speed, which means you'll be reaching even less stacks than before. I might revisit Penance Brand one day if I ever get my hands on a mirror tier helmet, but the next stop will be Winter Orb. And Winter Orb, I hope, will be good. I will be scaling a lot of area, so I have this helm right now. It's ready to go. I actually asked Pumpchi to do my enchant, and he actually said Streamer RNG, so I gave him the helm at 10:14, and he gave it back to me at 10:21. World's fastest lab runner, right? So tune into my stream to see how Winter Orb will be. It can't be any worse than Penance Brand, right? But thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you find more mirrors, exalts, and mage plus than me, and see you next time. Bye.